don't want to get up and start dancing.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to put my stuff on. Here it is. God, is that annoying or what?
Yes. Was that the idea?
Yes.
I loved it.
Word.
I was ready to start dancing.
I know. Good morning. So this meeting is I'm excited about the second half of this meeting because this will be the first meeting where we actually do Bold download from some of the people who are at Bold, right? And what they're getting and what's going on with their businesses, what they're struggling with, what the big ahas are. How's it going? Come on in. So I can't wait to share that for them to share that with you guys. Really quick, everybody knows this,
Yeah.
right? In fact, we collected last week. I'd like to thank. Where's she not here? I'd like to thank Polly with Prospect Mortgage for a $25 donation to KW Cares. And we can thank Yarrow for a $50 donation. His phone didn't ring, but he had some coaching homework that he had to do, and so he wasn't able to get it all done, so his check got cashed. So he was excited about that, I'm sure. A week from today, Monday, in this office, at noon, I'm sorry, I don't know why it says at noon. Yeah, what time is it? Noon. At noon, we're going to have a little quick start to the meeting, and then Tony Brody, the regional director for all the entire Northern California and Hawaii, Keller Williams, is going to be here. And by the way, welcome back Eileen from Cabo.
Welcome back.
That's why they're so tan.
Just so you guys know, my phone, while she was gone, I took all kinds of broker calls. I gave all kinds of advice. I have no idea whether it was any good or not. So that was pretty funny. It was interesting having you gone, Eileen, because I was getting, normally my phone voicemail and stuff doesn't fill all the way up, but a couple times it got almost full. Yeah, and the text and all that stuff. So it's great to have you back.
Thank you.
He's going to come in, he's going to teach, Tony's going to come in and teach the profit share model. All of us understand on some level how profit share works, and Eileen's actually probably going to talk a little bit about profit share from last month that was paid out on the 21st of this month. Some people in our office got some really big numbers because we profit shared $40,000 last month. And so I think Eileen's going to share some of that with you. So this is really good timing for this class because he's going to walk you through exactly how and why it works, how to build your downline wide so time takes it deep for you, which is basically how this works. And then the exact numbers breakdown and everything of how profit share is paid out, how it's calculated, how it's completely inviolable, it can't be messed with. It's done by Keller Williams International based on our transmittal, right? How not even Keller Williams market centers can mess with the profit. You guys all own businesses, so you know that in any other company with profit sharing, if Eileen wanted to go out and lease a Bentley and put the lease payment in the expense side of the P&L, she can do that. Here, you can't do that until after profit share is paid. And so it's really, really interesting the way this company works and the power of profit share. And so Tony's going to be here. He's a really dynamic speaker. You guys are going to kick out of him a week from today at noon. Don't miss that. It's going to be the only time he's going to come out this year, probably for that anyway. How about some successes between last week and this week? I know I see some people in here who have had some successes. So who wants to share? Yes, Katarina.
I got some clients, and about a day before I started working here, they started looking at homes, went under contract the day I started here, and closed on Friday.
Nice. Love that. There you go. Hey, Trish, who else has a success between last week and this week that they want to share? No successes? Week.
It's that they want to share.
Oh, okay. Joe, how about you?
Well, I closed
Okay.
learned this morning that it was tough closing. It was an issue
Yeah.
that was going back and forth, and we got it resolved, and so it closed this morning.
Nice.
So that
Here we
means
go.
I get to list their house
Good.
this week. So it'll be on open house on the 6th.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Congratulations. Very cool. Who else has a success? Isaiah?
Well, I closed one that had stretched out, and closed Friday, and I opened another one Friday.
Ooh, nice. Keeping them going? Yeah, there you go. Who else has a success? Yes, Brett.
I took a listing this week. I'm trying to remember if I mentioned it last week or not, but anyway, met with them and got the listing agreement signed, and I've been able, I was not gonna go on the market for 3 weeks. I was already able to serve them with a good referral to a mover.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so, as you know.
Good. Did that mover know who the referral came from?
Yes, because I already talked with the mover who is, so
Yeah,
we
and
all
that
know
mover
that.
goes out of his way for realtors.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Very
and
cool.
I've also personally used this mover like 3 times in the past, so.
And aren't you in bold?
Huh, what?
Aren't you in bold as well?
I'm not.
Oh, you went to first step to bold. That's right. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Because if you were in bold, who's in bold in here? Raise your hand. So what would you have asked that mover in that phone call or that conversation?
Who do you know?
Who do you know? What?
Who do you know that may need me to, who may need to buy, sell, or invest in real estate
That I can call
immediately?
today, immediately. Yes, awesome.
Yep, absolutely.
There you go.
Although I'm sure in this case, he probably, he has another agent that he's got a little bit closer relationship with.
Yeah. Doesn't matter though. Still, I can guarantee you, everybody else, and that's, we're kind of kidding around, but the truth is, we all think that about our lenders, we all think that about the people that we use in real estate, and the truth is, no one asks. No one asks, or very few people ask. Who else has a success they want to share? Yes?
Well, I had a listing this week, and I also worked with a landscaper who was fantastic. If someone knows the name, for
Awesome.
yard cleanup.
Fantastic. That's very cool. If you want to post that on the backside too, that'd be great. And you're in bold, yes? No? Who is it that's in bold? I know you guys are, and I know Kelly is on an appointment right now. Yeah, okay, cool. This will be fun today. Anybody else have a success they want to share? Yes, Joe?
I did close this silly little vacant land property after almost 14 months.
Yeah?
It was the oddest piece of property I ever had to deal with. And I asked for a referral letter from the.
Oh, hang on one second.
I'll sit outside.
That's me, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's $25 to Keller Williams.
Okay.
That's going to be fun. Thank you very much for the donation. We appreciate it. We're going to use it for giving back to the community this year. Wouldn't be fair to not ask everyone to do the same thing. I'm sorry, I interrupted your success. 1 second. Go ahead.
I asked for a referral letter, and I got a very glowing report that goes into my portfolio.
Excellent. Fantastic. That's very cool. Did you post it? Do they allow you to post it too? Very cool. Awesome. Congratulations on that. Eileen, you had a success.
Well, this is sort of your success, Roy. It's, your letter, I have a buyer for somebody in your area, whatever. Anyway, when Diana Enos was here, she and Will teamed up, and they were farming skyhawk. And they sent out the absentee owner letters, and shelf life 5 months.
Wow.
The man called from out of state and wanted to list his house. And he said that, and it's $1 million property.
Mhm.
It's one of the ones at the top of the hill with that acre yard, you know.
Mhm.
And so anyway, he called and he said he was interviewing 3 agents. And so Diana's gone,
Mhm.
and Will is referral agent. So they gave it to me, and I went over to see the house. It's tenant occupied. But bottom line is, he said that he called 3 agents, and I was the only person who called back.
Wow.
Whoa.
Excuse me, want to list my $1 million house?
It's $1 million.
You're too busy to call you back.
And they didn't call him back probably because they probably just pulled realist, saw the original loan amount, thought he might be short sell position, and didn't want to waste their time. But his
Wow.
credit report's real important to him,
Mhm.
so he'll come in if it takes $100K. You know,
Yeah, he's got cash, yeah.
to pay it. So I just thought that was interesting. I'm listing it today.
Nice, nice, way to go. That's fantastic. And that is not my success, that's yours, because you actually did the work, so that's fantastic. Who else has something they want to share that's a success? Awesome. Okay, let's go to haves and wants. Who has, first of all, let's be specific. Who has a listing coming that is not currently in MLS that they would like to share with everybody? Yes, Joe.
The house I'm listing this week, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, with enclosed sunroom, 3 outbuildings, workshop, over 8/10 of an acre on well and on city sewer. And it's, I'll be listed at $460.
Awesome.
What part of town? Say again? What part of town? It's off of Stony Point, just south of Kern.
Cool. Awesome. Anybody else have something coming? Yes.
I do late this afternoon, I'm listing a seniors mobile home park, the one that's across from Betty's Fish and Chips. What's the name of that?
Santa Rosa Village.
Santa Rosa Village. It's a 1971, it's 24 by 57. We're listing it for $45,000. We need a really, really quick sale, or I need to find a private money loan of $2,000, sum of $5,000. So that'll, I'm gonna see it this afternoon. I have a feeling it's cluttered and maybe in a little bit, it might need some work.
What part of the park is it in? There's someone who wants that road.
Kentwood, it's on Kentwood, 124 Kentwood. So, so we need a quick sale on that one. 45,000, seniors mobile home.
Cool. Were you gonna say something, Heather?
I was just going to say something to Joanne. Have you checked your bank account today yet?
No, I've been running, honey. I've been like from.
Well,
You might want to check it.
Well, you might want to know that this morning Keller Williams deposited $1,358 in your account.
Whoa. That's good news.
Wait, so once again, just really quickly, don't miss this.
Right.
Nice. Fantastic. That's what we call the 100, does anybody know what the 100% plus club is at Keller Williams? Who knows what that is? So you guys all know that when you cap, everything for the rest of your anniversary year is 100% to you. So how would you get in the 100% plus club? In other words, everything's 100% to you for the entire year.
You're bringing it up in profit share so that it
Yeah.
covers the entire.
It's when your profit sharing covers not only your entire cap, but your office expenses as well. And there's quite a few people in that club. And imagine how empowering that is, to really look at your profit share as it just takes care of all your business expenses and all your commissions are 100% to you. That's why I met with somebody last week who was, who runs a small brokerage, and they're like, well, why would I move my company there? And let alone the overhead, difference in overhead. I mean, huge overhead, right, for a nice lease space and Sonoma and all that kind of stuff, if that's what they were, which I'm not saying what they were. But huge overhead for a nice lease space, a bunch of agents and stuff, copier leases, phone leases, staffing, all that kind of stuff. Forget about all that. Even if you're an independent broker, it could be cheaper to be at a company like this when you factor all that in. Interesting. Who else has something coming that they wanna, yes?
I talked about it last week, but it will be live on the market on Friday, 2002 Blue Stage Court. It's gonna be in the, like, 850 to 875, we'll determine that on Thursday. Single level in Fountain Grove, great
Awesome.
property, completely remodeled.
Mm-hmm. You don't wanna say completely.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word, that's the bad word.
Has the attic been
Yeah,
removed?
but it's beautiful, it's very
Awesome.
awesome, really nice. And then 2312 Tucker Court is on the west side, that's coming also. 450s, 3-bedroom, 2-bath on the west side.
Very cool.
Do you wanna talk about that one? Actually, we have one that's also that, you wanna talk about that one?
Yeah, talk about it.
We have a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, trustee sale being ready to come on the market on a minute,
Okay.
over by the JC.
Do you know about?
Right around
price?
4.
Right around 4.
Okay.
It's gonna need some work, you know,
Is it approved,
pardon me?
the trustee sale?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Awesome. Do you, when did you say?
Well, like, if somebody has something in this room, we'll talk to you about it, otherwise it may go on the market. We might do it before it goes on the market.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Anybody else have something coming? Yes, Brett?
1523 Plumeria Drive.
Okay.
Little 3 and 2, about 1,100 square feet, 8,000 square foot lot, nice big lot. That's over there, kind of behind the Schultz Museum there, and good price point for first-time buyers. It's going to be about $349.
Awesome.
Or 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yes.
Were you raising your hand, Jeanette?
Oh, I was thinking about it.
You
Yes.
started to, yeah.
So for those of you that liked our listing on Summer Haze, you're gonna like our second listing on Summer Haze. That one is going to be in the, I'm thinking high 6s, then the Canary in the Cage, the one we have now. It will be a short sale, and I should have it this Wednesday if all goes as planned.
Awesome.
It will be a short sale, 2 loans,
Okay.
but those go just fine, so don't let that scare you.
Very cool. Just out of curiosity, did that one list off the other one?
Yes, yes,
That's
yes,
what
it
I
did. It did help. Believe me,
Yeah.
it did help.
Very cool.
Yes, but that wasn't all there was to it.
Mhm. Awesome. Anybody else have something coming that's not currently on the market that they want to share? Yes, Eileen.
I have one thing, a couple of people in here know about this already. It's a very strange offering, and it's in the Santa Rosa Golf and Country Club. And we, with just a few people knowing about it, it had 5 offers in a week. And we couldn't close escrow on it, and we're going back on the market with it. It's not in Barris, and it never will be. But what happened is we found out that it had 2 problems. One of them was an abatement issue, and the other one was that the attorney shred the person's trust. Because it was 12 years, and their policy in their office is after 12 years, they shred the trust. And the person whose trust it was didn't have a copy. And so he just thought it would be safe with the attorney, and the attorney would always have it. And so it was a big issue. So it's going back on the market, but it's, I'll tell you briefly, it's, you know, it's approximately 1,800 square feet. It's on a big lot in the Santa Rosa Golf and Country Club. It's only going to be $550. That is dramatically under market. We have one in escrow right now for $860, you know. So what I'll tell you is, it's 1 story. It has been tenant occupied for years. No one, and here's the kicker, you still cannot see it. You have to buy it sight unseen. And also you get the existing tenant with it. And the owner is leaving some money in escrow to evict the tenant. But we can talk, if that sounds like something that your client wants to do, a total fixer. It's actually not as bad as it might sound inside, but it has a hostile to the owner tenant, but not hostile.
Okay.
So anyway, just to let you know that that's going to be available starting today, and it will be an escrow on Friday, I can assure you.
Is it hostile to the realtor tenant? Like
No.
what I know?
The answer to that is yes. No one can go to the property, no one can peek in the windows, no one can write an offer saying the seller will have the tenant out. It's being sold as it is. The price is $550. Someone's gonna get a fabulous deal.
Yeah.
It's next door to $1 million+ property. About $1.6 million next. Get any inspections until it closes.
Okay.
You're gonna buy it sight unseen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will we take
Because-
450 for it?
You
could drive
We've
by.
already had 2 offers at $450.
Yeah.
But no, we've had full price offers already, you know, but not this week. That was last time. So
Yeah.
those buyers are gone now. But another thing, a couple of you were at the meeting when the head of the PRMD was there, and I stood up and asked the question, what about these abatements? And the answer was, because title companies, as soon as they see an abatement on the property, they panic. And it's like, oh, we'll never get this handled, you know, because there's a problem. And when I asked him, you know, in front of all the realtors, he said, well, there is a problem. We've got 4,000 abatements on the books right now, and we have 4 people who are manning those. So guess what? My abatement got lifted in 1 day. And I have the answer. So if anybody wants to know how to get an abatement removed, call me, you know?
You call out the head of the PRMD in front of all the realtors, that's
Yeah,
what you did.
that's exactly right.
That's
You
what
walk-
you did.
Yeah, I did. And when
It
you
was
walk-
great.
Yeah, and so he will handle it personally, you know, to
Oh,
make
I
sure.
saw- I heard
yeah,
that.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. So anyway, that's enough of that property,
That's awesome.
but that's gonna be an outstanding buy for somebody. So all you country property people who have people with a iron of steel as a buyer, call me and we'll talk.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Anybody else have something coming? Anybody else have any wants or needs? All right, so the calendar this week, don't forget, right after this, well, at 1:30 after this is Income Boost, yes?
Yes.
Yes, and it's the first module of Income Boost in this office. And then Power Hour tomorrow in Petaluma at 8:45 with Rick Warner. Bold download out there. We're gonna do bold download here in a few minutes. Bold in Palo Alto on Wednesday. And then the McCall team, will you talk about that one more time? I was there again. It was just awesome. You weren't there last week, because maybe you should talk about last week. I thought it was fantastic, Tim.
Yeah, no, I just thought we've been going through buyer consultations, successive videos, and I think we're on video 4 this week, and it's been really enlightening, and the group has thrown out some awesome ideas, and we've just really been kind of narrowing down what's really important to have as a bare minimum in a buyer consultation, and there's just some good talk tracks, and it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been really, one of the things I noticed last week was how much the contribution from everyone else, how much better it was. It was really like a mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of why I called it that. I don't know what you guys call it, but I just call it McCall Team Mastermind. It's fantastic. They run it, and it's usually like 8:10, I figure, is 8:05, right? Because by the time you guys get off your coaching call. I know, but the coaching call goes to 8 o'clock, right?
Yep. We start the video right around 8:05. Yep.
Yeah, so get there.
That doesn't mean you can get there then.
Yeah.
No.
Because we bring food, so
Yeah.
we give them a few minutes to take a bite.
Yeah, get there at 8 o'clock. I'll change it next week in the thing when I put it up. But get there at 8 o'clock and check this out. It's really, really worth your time. Really worth your time. It's a great thing. Appreciate you guys spending your time to put that on. It's really, really cool. So the weekly practice tip. Eileen, do you want to go over this or want me to go over it? All right, so it's a wire fraud scam alert. There's a growing scheme in which buyers have received emails allegedly from an escrow company providing wire information.
Whoa.
Have you heard this? I'm sure you've heard it.
Unbelievable.
I get those sometimes.
For use by the buyer to transmit earnest money. And of course, guess where it goes? Somewhere else. Yeah. Or purchase money deposits for their purchase transaction. Unfortunately, hackers intercept these escrow company emails and then alter the account information in the emails to redirect the buyer's funds to the hacker's account. Altered emails from the hacker appear to be genuine, containing the escrow company's email information and/or logos. When the buyers wire their funds pursuant to the altered instructions, their money disappears, usually to an offshore account with little chance of recovery. It appears that the hackers monitor the email traffic of the escrow company or the buyer, and thus are aware, I'm sure it's the escrow company, how would they know if somebody individually is going to buy a house? And thus are aware of the timing of pending transactions. In reported instances, it was a buyer who was induced to misdirect their own funds. However, these hacked emails could conceivably used to cause sellers who wire their sale proceeds to be victims as well. Practice tips. Provide the attached alert to sellers and buyers in all transactions and obtain a signed copy for your files. You'll see the alert go out like Sue always does it. At the same time, remind your clients to read the alert and take precautions when wiring any funds. This is kind of timely because did everybody read in the news yesterday? You guys all know what happened with Move and Realtor.com and all that stuff? It was a directed denial of service attack. And what that means, and Andrew can speak to this a little bit better, but the difference between, so a denial of service attack is when a hacker sets up a server somewhere to hit your website over and over again and to try to cause it to go down. Well, the big corporate sites have so much server capacity that doesn't really work, right? And they can see it all coming from the same IP or spoofed IP addresses, and they go out and they shut down that they won't accept anything from those IPs. So what happened to Move.com, Move, Top Producer, Realtor.com, and all the associated websites, they were down for 2 days. And what happened, how they did it was a directed denial of service attack where the hackers had already gone out and co-opted other computers and caused them all over the country to attack at the same time, and it took down the servers. So
Was this on Friday?
Yeah, it happened on Friday, and in the news put out something on Sunday about it. That stuff was all down on like Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday. People were losing their minds. Yeah, I'm sure you noticed it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody who uses Top Producer would know it. Anybody who uses Realtor.com and went on tried to get on it would notice it. Everything was down. So this stuff is becoming more prevalent, and along with that attack on Move servers was, guess what? A ransom notice. Woo. We will stop this attack if you pay us X number of dollars.
Oh my goodness.
These aren't people in the United States doing this. They're people that are completely outside of our jurisdiction. We can't, our government can only go after them like through Interpol and all that. And they're probably in some backwards country where there's no law. Huh?
A drone attack.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We can drone it. So just that kind of stuff is going on, and this kind of stuff, this wire fraud scam, it usually comes from nations other than ours and outside the area and stuff. So let your people know what's going on. So I would like the people who are in bold right now to come on up. Come on up, Allison. It's going to be fun. Okay, you don't have to come all the way up. Just stand up over there where everybody can see you. Because I want to talk a little bit about what's going on. Come on up, Drake. Yeah. Actually, you might as well come up because Drake's here too. Let's come on. We've all had challenges in our businesses and challenges in our lives. And there's one thing when unexpected challenge comes up. No, go ahead. Come on. Yeah, come on over here. It's one thing when an unexpected challenge comes up, right, and that we have to deal with. We all have that. It's another thing when you do stuff that you know is going to challenge you, right? Why don't you start? You weren't at the last bold session, were you?
No, I just got back from 10 days in Maui.
Nice.
Oh,
It must have been rough.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
Allison, why don't you start a little bit? Because Allison and I had some special interactions about bold.
4,000 times I've wanted to quit in the last few weeks. It's, I don't know what you want me to discuss. It's very, very challenging. And as a longtime agent, I got stuck in hitting a brick wall, lots of struggles. So through Bold, there is a lot going on. It doesn't just start with just making the contacts, but there's a lot of homework, there's a lot of follow-up, there's just a lot, and it can be overwhelming. I will say, and Roy and I have had this discussion where I'm just like, count me out, I don't want to go, I don't care about the money, I'm not showing up.
You were going to quit, yeah. You're like,
1,000 times. My husband's like, stop saying you're going to quit, just do it. So I have been doing it, and I actually did the homework, or working on the homework, and I will say a success, and I did email Roy last night, is I had Jeanette's house yesterday open.
How did you do?
Well, it was overwhelming, the amount of people.
That's a big word.
And I had called, because you have to make 100 contacts a week, and it's not just, hi, how are you, but to have a discussion about real estate, buy, sell, invest. And that is way out of my comfort level. It's always easier when a referral comes my way and such. So I was calling the whole neighborhood, inviting people to the open house. and I actually got a hold of 8 contacts. One gal came yesterday. She is a branch manager for Bank of America, liked that I had called her. That house didn't work for her, but I did show her another house that we're writing an offer on in the M section last night. People welcome the call, and if they don't welcome the call, it's okay. You just can move on. So it was just kind of an eye-opener for me, because I wanted, you know, I was like, Roy's gonna eat crow on this, because I'm just gonna fight this the whole time. But it was, you know, it's kind of amazing to have a little success. I mean, who knows where it's gonna develop? But it got me right back up on the phones today to make those calls. Because my database is only gonna last so long, right? So it's, you know, just anybody and everybody.
Yeah, I don't care how many contacts you have in your database. If you have to make 20 contacts a day, and you don't want to call through your database of people that you know without leaving a message and just hang up. So you're going to leave messages, so you're not going to want to leave them over and over again. So even if you have 2,000 people in your database, that's not going to make it through Bold. Bold requires you to go out and talk to people you don't know. Go out and ask people you don't know for business. It's very interesting, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Some of the conversations that we had, and she makes herself sound more negative than she is, but some of the conversations that we had were like really serious. It was like, you know, I'm not doing this. This is crazy, and I wouldn't, you know, you're crazy to have me do this like a week after I transition to your company, all this kind of stuff, because all this stuff is on her plate all at once. Did it give you clarity about what's, like, making these calls and having this one success, which you'll end up with a lot more than that, but did it give you clarity around, like, priority and what's important, or you know, or did you feel like you already had that?
Well, no, I think it really developed a lot of clarity around it, because lead generation is everything. And as an agent, I can keep busy doing who knows what for 6 hours a day and say, whoo, you know, go home, make dinner, and I'm like, why, I worked hard today. But what were you actually doing? It's easy to, you know, talk with a couple of people that are not, you know, indirectly or directly going to be involved in a sale.
Yeah.
So, and that's the hard part, is just concentrating on what is important and where your priorities are.
Because everything, you can make anything seem really important. I mean, you know, you transition to a brand new brokerage, she does a lot of business. She does $5 million a year in transactions, and she's a broker. She transitioned to another company, and it's very easy to talk about, hey, look, this is ridiculous. Jack Pratt's back ordered a month. I can't get my signs. My cards are wrong. I have the advertisement in the paper said I'm in Petaluma, and I'm actually, I mean, we made a bunch of mistakes. And all this stuff is true. It actually all happened to her. We made a bunch of mistakes. We made mistakes when McCall came over. And the thing is when the truth of our business is it's about leads, and it's about how many people can you talk to who might want to buy or sell real estate. And everything else is completely does not matter. Everything flows, I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. Everything else flows from that, right? You could go out and get a dozen signs. If you don't ever have any leads, they're just gonna sit there, right? You can stack them up. So I think it's fantastic what you went through. Anything else you want to share? What about from last week's session? Any big ahas from that particular session? Anything that was discussed or talked about in there that you want to share with the group?
Well, I think it was really interesting to see so many people that have already gone through Bold many times. And I'm like, well, you did it once. Why do you keep coming back? And it's almost like this synergistic feeling that you get with some of these really top producers that come back to just hone their skills. So that I thought was very enlightening. And also, it's just on the scripts. I mean, Roy can say a script in 20 seconds, and it just makes my head spin. You know, you've been doing the scripts, what, 12, 14 years?
Because they're burned into my brain.
Right. Yeah. So to get to that point, to me, is very, I mean, a goal for me. To be able to have an easy conversation with somebody without, you know, reading something right down the page.
Yeah, yeah. And you guys know the difference of that. It isn't so that I can recite a script back to somebody, because that isn't how it works. When you know a script so well that you can rattle it off really quick without any mistakes, like really fast, faster than you would ever talk, it just means you've internalized it. And what you'll find is that pieces of that script become part of your normal conversation with your people. And it also focuses you, keeps it from going off track. Everybody in here have you ever sat down and decided you're going to do calls, and you get a hold of the first person that you call, and you have to have a half-hour conversation with them, and there goes the day? Yeah, that's not effective, right? Even if that ends up in an appointment, that's still not effective. So when you have that kind of focus on the script, you can still have a normal conversation, but you have to internalize the script. So yeah, and you're getting there. And everybody involved is going to get there because you guys get it pounded into you daily, or well, weekly.
Well, plus we have a 2.5 hour commute there and a 2.5 hour commute back. And I've found, in the car, having the conversations with, your team members there that are, well, it's not exactly your team members, but your colleagues that are going, the conversations have been really.
Explain the team thing.
Oh, well, each group, I don't know, what is there, 10, 12 people, you develop a team, you have a team leader, and this team leader is supposed to encourage all the team participants in developing their scripts, their contacts. You're supposed to go over your scripts every day for a half an hour every day with somebody on your team. So you're very accountable. I can go in there and just write up a bunch of contacts and,
You could lie.
you could, or you could kind of fudge around for a couple numbers, but you are really accountable to these people, so you don't want to let them down. So that's another level of accountability that I find is, one of the things that I just really wanted to. I thought, well, I'm a broker. I've been a broker for a long time. I don't have to be accountable to anybody. So but it's good. It's really good. Although Roy told me this morning I'm going to have another breakdown because I had so many breakdowns through this whole process.
You might not, but I just didn't want you to think that the challenges were over.
But the teams are great. You're a group within a huge group of people, and there's a lot of energy in that group.
Yeah. And I don't know if you can tell from this whole conversation, but the recurring theme with you, and you can see it in the email thread between you and I, the recurring theme of this bold has been her being well outside of what's comfortable for her. Stressed, right? Outside the comfort zone. But that's where, what takes place when you get outside your comfort zone? Growth. That's the only place it takes place, right? So I thought that was really cool. Thank you for sharing that statement. How about you, Dred, how bad did Maui suck?
Oh, Maui sucked horribly. Renewing your vows at sunset on the Peely Cove.
Hey,
Kids put this all together, people on the beach stood up. The part of it was absolutely wonderful. I went over there with an expectation of making my 20 contacts a day and had a bunch of breakdowns around that. I probably should have emailed you. But did do several webinars. I went through all of my phone. I couldn't get to all of my contacts. It's a bitch, quite frankly. And but I'm back. I got my first contact with my team members today. I'm a little bit overwhelmed, but I committed that I'd show up so we wouldn't have any faults between now and Wednesday. So I got a lot to do in the next 48 hours. Absolutely. But yeah, I'm excited about it. It's exactly what I need right now. And so, yeah, I'm glad to be back, and they assured me that we would get through the first 2 weeks, so I'm counting on that. That we'll get through the rest of it, because I don't want to be one that drags the team down. It's really important.
The first 2 weeks is the hardest.
Yeah.
In bold, yeah. The first 2 weeks after.
Yeah, well, exactly. So I've still got those first 2 weeks to go through, really, at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
That's good. So,
who's driving this week?
You guys will work that out.
Okay.
We have.
I can.
You can ask Allison.
I can.
Yeah, because I won't drive. It's kind of a nightmare driving. You have to be committed to sit in that traffic for 2.5 hours.
Yeah. There's other reasons to go away the bold though too.
Yeah.
The fact that, the people that you're in there. So who do you think, like you mentioned top producers that are in bold for like the umpteenth time. When you say top producer, like what kind of business do they do?
Well, like Rick Warner. This is his, what, 3rd or 4th time?
Yeah, I think it's his 3rd time.
3rd time,
Yeah.
And to see somebody, of his production to take the time and the commitment is very encouraging. And there's agents there that it's their first month in business, and their companies are encouraging them to go.
From every aspect, the people down there whose average sales price is $2 million.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That would work,
Right.
So.
Right. So
Some of us were at the Feeney last week, and we met a couple of the Feeney top producers in Palo, or just I did, I don't know, the other people did, from Palo Alto that were consistent multi-million-dollar producers. And she was frantic to get my card because she was going to bold on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty.
Yeah, you're in contact.
Yeah.
That was one of the things he did pass on. I did stop into the Maui office for KW and picked up everybody's card there, met a bunch of people.
So you can count the people you met if you ask them for business. You
Absolutely, and I got them and they're written down on the sheet, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for the idea.
No problem. Yeah, that's the funny thing about this too. You run out of the call that you're comfortable calling. You know, like, well, in bold, they have you do calls right there. So in first step to bold, they have everybody call, and you can hear it. You can walk outside, when people go outside to make their calls in first step to bold, and you can tell they're talking to their mom or whatever. You know? Hey mom, who do you know wants to buy a home? But you run out of those people to call really quickly. And what it does is it makes you, then you start calling people you're not comfortable with, but they're in your database. Then you run out of those people, and then you have options. You can go door knocking, you can go to a mall and harangue people till they kick you out. You can go do an open house. You can, which was fantastic. How many people came to your open house? 28, you said?
Groups.
Yeah.
Two agents.
To Materi?
2 agents out of that.
Yeah.
Sorry?
At Materi?
At your house.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You can, as many things as you can possibly, you can go buy a list of phone numbers in an area and start calling, right? You can do whatever it takes, which is what businesses do anyway, right? You do whatever it takes to get the leads you need, to make the money you need to fund the life that you want, right? I just think, what is the acronym BOLD? What does that mean?
Business objective, living by design?
Not default.
Oh, sorry, I did it wrong. I don't
Business-
even know what it is.
Business objective of life by design, not by default. Most business owners, period, in all industries, but our industry especially, are living their lives, their businesses and their lives by default. I meet with them all the time. I sit down with them, how do you get most of your business? I get all my business by referral. Okay, so to me what that means is they get whatever the default amount of business that their database provides. Okay, whether they're active, and few of them, some of them actually actively go out and get referrals from the database, which is great, that's even better, but it still isn't enough, right? You need a component of haven't-mets in your business, and this is the most uncomfortable thing to go after in real estate, is the haven't-mets, right? Isn't it?
There's that one, and also if you haven't been through your own database in a while, which I haven't, is you'll find out how little is actually there if you haven't stayed in contact with people that you would think it's like, oh, okay, oh, you bought 60 days ago?
Exactly.
Yeah, well,
And
there
that's
you go.
embarrassing, actually. Because
Yeah,
that's
it
what
is.
I started doing.
It should be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed by that. Yeah.
Absolutely, it'll make you humble.
And it's happened to every single person in here. And we all should be embarrassed about it. Our industry as an industry should be embarrassed by that.
Look at her example today.
Who?
Eileen.
Yeah, exactly. That's fantastic.
That calls us.
And Joanne, you were talking about being at Buffini. What do you guys who do Buffini, raise your hand. What do you think the mayor campaign is?
Same thing.
The mayor campaign is haven't met, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody you run into, what Bold does, because you're so stressed and so freaked out about making your 20 contacts a day, 100 contacts a week, is it makes you're constantly on that channel. And so whenever you run into somebody you haven't met, the very first thing you're thinking the whole time you're talking to them is, okay, so how am I gonna bring it up? How am I gonna bring it up?
You want a contact.
You gotta have a contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's awesome. And will you continue, do you think that you'll continue at this level, at this pace of haven't met and lead generation for after you're done with Bold and you go back to your business? Do you think you'll stay at this, I got 20 contacts a day?
Well, I mean, I hope to. I mean, it'll be hard to say. I can just imagine if you have so many escrows going at one time. But I think you have to just go in with that commitment. But, ask me in 7 weeks, I don't know if I'll still be,
Yes, you
will be
will.
alive. Right.
You'd be buried in business.
Yeah, well, right. But I think that when you look at some of the information on the top people, I mean, their whole day is built around lead generation, or a good portion of their day.
What portion of their day usually?
Oh, what is it, 9 to 11?
Yeah, morning. Why, did they tell you why that is? Did Chris bring that up?
Because you're on your game earlier in the day before, right?
You're absolutely more on your game in the morning, for sure. Depending on what you did the night before.
Read the one.
But you're more on your game in the morning,
Peak out
right?
around 3 o'clock.
Right.
What's the other thing that it does for you? Russ Lee talked about this the other day when I was helping him make his calls in the morning, or in the afternoon. So when you lead generate first of all, if your plan is to lead generate when you can get to it, when will you lead generate? Never. You won't, because you can never get to it. If your plan is to lead generate in the afternoon, is it as likely to happen that if your plan was to lead generate in the morning? Why not?
Day gets in the way.
Stuff happens, your day starts, right? Everything's going on, things come up, right? And also, this is another reason for guys like me, you're giving yourself 2 or 3 hours to procrastinate in doing it. And the longer it's like standing on the edge of a cliff. If you just jump into the water and you know you're gonna be safe, if you just jump, it's easier. The longer you stand there, the harder it is to jump, right? What else happens when you lead generate in the morning? Russ brought this up. I think he didn't, I don't think it was in here though.
It makes your mind clear to take care of the other stuff afterwards. You kind of get the sense of I did it and move on to the next one.
That's absolutely true, Isaiah. If you guys didn't hear what she said, it takes the pressure off you to do it early in the day. So your mind's clear for everything else. It's like eating the big frog first. It's like if you have a big fire burning in your business, take care of it first, right? Because then everything else is easy, right? The lead generation piece of you guys as businesses truly is the biggest fire that's always burning. Nothing else is as important. But the other piece that Russ would tell you if you were here right now is that it creates this giant wave of momentum that carries you through the rest of your day. He came running into my office because I made the first call for him. I took his phone away and I just spun through his contacts. And the script was, "Hi, this is Roy with Keller Williams. I work for Russ Lee and he asked me to call you today. We're calling everybody we know to find out if they know anybody who needs to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate that we could call immediately," right? And you should have seen him, like when I made the call. He'd be fine with me sharing this with you. He was sitting in the chair, sweating, couldn't sit still, face was beet red, because he had no idea who I just called from his phone, right, in his database. And then after that, he made that phone call, and it was easier for him. And then, so he did it the rest of the day. He comes running into my office. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I got all this stuff going on. I got people that want to see houses. I got somebody who wants me to tell them how much their house is worth." And it created all this momentum that carried him through the rest of his day. He did it the next morning, and he was running all the rest of the day. Now he does it every morning instead of when he can get to it or in the afternoon. That's why they have you do them. That's why all the people who do a lot of business, Tom Daves, who's one of your partners, right? Does like over 500 transactions a year out of Roseville, always lead generates in the morning. And then he has companies that he has hired to lead generate for him all day long as well. There's another way that you guys should know about, and this is kind of cheating to get lots of contacts. I want to share this with you guys. This guy became my friend after I hired him in the Yuba City Keller Williams office. His name is Dave Silva. And he actually hired somebody who Tom Daves had working for him as a dialer. And what a dialer is somebody who cold calls for you with whatever the script is, and they read it, and then they set appointments for you. They have access to your calendar right there. He hired this person, and it took him about 3 months to get everything dialed in the way he wanted it. She sends him, he's the top producer in the Yuba City area now, above Jackie Lynn. And he goes on 7 to 10 listing appointments a week. And he doesn't do any prospecting, she does it all. He calls his database, that's it. She sends him on listing appointments by reading scripts to people who he's never met. So, and she's probably not anywhere near as good at the scripts as you guys are, or he is, and she just reads them to people. So it's a numbers game, right? Really interesting how that can work. Does anybody have any questions for the people who are in bold? Yes?
How do you have time to do your business if you're spending so much time doing bold?
Well, that's a challenge. It's a big challenge because you have to be 150% committed. You know, you're doing what you have to do at 8 o'clock at night, but you have to be committed to doing what it entails. So, you know, making the phone calls. I could have thought of a million things to be doing, calling these agents back to write up this offer this morning, but I was committed to doing my calls from 9:30 to 11:30. It's they make you sign this form, which I thought was kind of cheesy. I mean, and I should probably be saying this, but it's this form when your first bold meeting, and it's to your family. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be gone for 7 weeks, so please support me.
That makes sense.
Right? And I'm like, well, I'm not, not going to be involved with my family for 7 weeks, but but it is such a huge commitment. So I figure for 7 weeks that you have to do what you're going to do if it's 10 hours a day. I mean, I haven't had a day off since I began this, to be really honest. So you just plow on through it, I guess.
But Allison, you can really see a difference in you even now. I mean,
Yeah.
your confidence level seems better.
Mhm.
You're focused. I mean, I see a dramatic difference.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In 2 weeks?
I'm
Totally.
very impressed.
From when that day after, remember
Yeah.
on our meeting when you came on Wednesday morning, and Thursday morning,
Yeah.
the day after Bold, I could see fear in your eyes.
Yeah.
You were wanting to quit. You were super up. You even said Roy's name is a bad word in my world. Right? And so, what am I doing? Right? And just seeing you now is like really impressive.
It is so impressive.
For anybody else that was there on Thursday, sees you now and goes, "Oh my gosh, what is going on?"
But it's like you've crossed over from being just a mediocre realtor to being, I am going to be the real thing. And it's impressive to see.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
I'm
good to
very
hear.
proud of you. This is not easy, but what you're doing is you're taking, that's why they call it bold. You're taking a bold step to change and become a real professional.
Well, let's be clear about what that really is. I mean, here's what most of us do. Most of us perform at whatever level we're capable of performing at naturally. It's called your natural ceiling of achievement, right? This is from the 6 personal perspectives. And that's up somewhere on the wall in here, isn't it? And if it's not, it's going to be. So you start out in the business, you start to get good, you start to get leads, start to do deals, and somewhere along the line you're doing whatever it is, you're doing the amount of business that you're naturally capable of doing with the skill set you came to the business with naturally. And so you hit that and you kind of bump along here. And if you ever do even accidentally break through it for a second, this is really uncomfortable up here. Really, is it not, you're there, okay? Is it not uncomfortable right now? Okay, so this is really uncomfortable up here, and so what most of us do is we go right back down to what we know. And this is frustrating, by the way. And then pretty soon people go, oh, you know what, I think I'm gonna go into lending. Or, that's gonna be easier.
Oh my God.
Hey, how many lenders, ask yourself when the rules changed for lenders, how many lenders I interviewed who were saying, well, I'm gonna go into real estate. So those guys have it easy, right? Whatever, you get the greener grass thing, right? And you go do something else. The truth is, if you can manage to stay above this level for about 90 days, all of a sudden, your natural ceiling of achievement comes up to that level. And you'll never go back, ever. You'll never go back to what you were doing. But this is so uncomfortable that most of us we don't operate in this, ever. And when we do, we need to write these cheesy things to our family saying, hey, I'm not going to be around, and if I am going to be around, I'm going to be impossible. So support me for 7 weeks.
What your husband did, he said, why don't you just do it? You know, why are you complaining? Why don't you just do it?
Yeah.
And you listened and you were doing it. It's so impressive.
Well, I don't think I listened to him.
Yeah, but you heard.
I mean, you know what I mean.
He didn't say don't do it because you saw your
Exactly.
thing. He supported that and he was all in with you. That's so good.
Right. And my husband's an agent as well, or he's licensed. So he did come with me to the open house. I've taken him to 2 open houses. And so he sees me practicing. And even he says he sees a little bit of a change.
Really.
Because I'm kind of, I wait for everybody to come to me. Well, that doesn't work always.
Yeah. Well, and the truth of this is that in order to break through this, you actually need to do something that, to get what you've never gotten, you have to do something you've never done. To break through this ceiling of achievement, you're going to have to do something you've never done before, and you're going to have all these reasons why you don't need to do it and can't do it, especially if you're already doing a lot of business. You're like, well, I don't need it, right? I mean, it's like I'm starving. But somewhere along the line, you guys all, when you got into this business, had an idea of what it is you wanted out of this business and the kind of life you wanted to fund with this business. And then ask yourself, don't share this, but ask yourself, did you go after it? And if you did you get it, or did you lower the bar? You know? And Bold will put you in touch with that in a big way, whether or not you lowered the bar. There's people that will stand up and cry while they're telling you what they really want from their business and what they're really getting and how big the difference is. Yes, Eileen.
You know, Roy, I remember when I went to the Bold Leadership course, it was very interesting because one of the examples the instructor gave was that this is a life situation. It's not a real estate situation. It's in anything. And the example that he gave was relationships, like being in love with someone and then having that relationship not go well, and then finding out that's not the right person, then reaching for what really is the right relationship, that it was out of his comfort zone. And then went back to the original person, and then beats that person up for the rest of their life, you know, because they're not the right person. But they were giving that example of how you'll go back to what you were doing before, and just like that, you'll settle down again. And it was a very interesting concept, and then I remember hearing that, and then of course, like Diana brings statistics for everything, but it was interesting where they just talked about going above the bar to do in relationship what you really should be doing, and showing how many people go back to the last person. They go back to that last person again. They just can't sustain that.
It's no different than this.
It's the same exact thing.
It's outside the comfort zone. You go back to what you know, what's comfortable.
Yeah. Or homes, like wanting to get that beautiful home that you've always wanted with the this, the this, and realizing that maybe that's just too much for me. And then going back down to here. You know what I mean? It's the same thing on every aspect of life.
Yeah, and the truth is, if you ask the universe for what you want, as long as you work toward it, the universe will give it to you.
That's right.
You have to work towards it. And most of us in our businesses don't, at some point, stop working towards it or change what we say we want.
Or accept what we're getting.
Yes.
Which is the same as
Well, that's the
changing.
big thing about bold, is like, you know, you can be a $5 million producer, if you can accept it, and that's okay.
Right.
But if you envision something better, you have to.
And if you imagine,
For the growth.
yeah, absolutely. If you imagine the life that you could fund with what you originally wanted or what your dream is in this business, you can have it. You can have it. You can have that life. You can have that income. You can have that business, and you can have that life. But it's easier not to. It's easier to just accept that actually eventually, in the end, it's easier to have it. But the journey, it's easier not to take that journey. It's easier to take the turnoff when you're comfortable, right? Park at the KOA. So is there any other questions you guys have for the people who are involved? Drake, is there anything you want to add?
Did we get your question answered? Okay.
Allison, anything you want to add? And what would you, I got a question for you. What would you tell somebody right now who's considering going to bowl next time around?
Well, I think it's, until you've experienced it, I don't think that there's anything quite like this. I mean, I've done the Buffini, Tommy Hopkins, it's just, there's nothing like this. For some reason. I would just go in it with open eyes. And be prepared to grow. And just move way out of that comfort.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys coming up and sharing. Thank you.